Not by markets. Not by competitors. But by one small voice in the rain, asking not for the world, just enough to keep someone else going. For the first time in years, Ethan had no words. Only a strange, unfamiliar ache in his chest. And a question quietly rising inside him. Ethan stood frozen, rain dripping from his coat, the boy's words replaying in his head. So my mom can eat today. I already ate yesterday. He looked down again. The boy wasn't pleading. He wasn't even crying. He was just, waiting. As if rejection was routine. Expected. Ethan reached into his wallet, fingers brushing a stack of crisp bills. But something stopped him. A feeling he couldn't quite name. He slowly lowered his hand. "What's your name?" he asked. "Liam." "Where's your mom now?" Liam turned and pointed across the street. Through the rain-slicked glass of a laundromat window, Ethan saw her. A woman, mid-30s maybe, wrapped in a threadbare coat, sitting on a plastic chair beside a worn duffel bag. She stared blankly at a spinning machine. Her face was pale, and her hands trembled slightly as she held a tissue to her lips. "She hasn't eaten in 2 days," Liam added, quieter now. "She gives me whatever she can." Ethan swallowed hard. He glanced at his car, parked down the block, then back at the boy. He thought of every time he'd walked past people like this, seen them, judged them, ignored them. Not out of cruelty, but out of convenience. But not this time. "Come with me," Ethan said gently. Liam blinked. "What?" "Let's get her something warm to eat. Both of you." He walked with Liam back across the street. When his mother looked up and saw her son holding hands with a stranger, her body tensed, until Ethan knelt slightly and said, "Hi. I'm Ethan. Your son, he's pretty incredible." The woman blinked through tears. "You don't have to." "I know," Ethan said softly. "But I want to." And with that, 3 strangers stepped into a nearby diner. And something began to change. The diner was modest, linoleum floors, a buzzing neon sign in the window, but it smelled of warm syrup and fried eggs, and that was more than enough. Ethan slid into the booth across from Liam and his mother, who introduced herself as Rachel. She looked exhausted, her cheeks hollow, her hands still trembling slightly as she sipped from the glass of water the waitress had brought. Liam, meanwhile, dug into his pancakes like they were treasure. Rachel tried to apologize again. "I'm so sorry he bothered you." "He knows not to." "He didn't bother me," Ethan interrupted gently. "He reminded me." Rachel looked up, confused. "I used to be him," Ethan said, his voice quiet, almost surprised by his own admission. "My mom and I lived out of a car for a while. I never forgot what hunger felt like. I just got good at pretending I did." Rachel's eyes welled up. She said nothing for a moment, just watched her son eat, a soft smile tugging at her lips. "I lost my job after I got sick," she said finally. "Pneumonia. No health insurance. No savings. I was a manager at a retail store. Now, I can't even get through a shift without coughing." Ethan leaned forward, his heart heavier with each word. "How long have you two been like this?" 7 months, she whispered. "We've been to every shelter. But they're always full. We sleep where we can. Liam keeps me going." Ethan looked at the boy, who had stopped eating just long enough to smile at his mom. In that moment, the billionaire CEO didn't see poverty. He saw resilience. He saw grace. And something in him broke, quietly, profoundly, because he realized. That evening, Ethan didn't return to his usual life of conference calls and private dinners. Instead, he made calls that mattered. He contacted a physician he trusted and arranged immediate medical care for Rachel, private, dignified, and no questions asked. He booked a hotel suite for a month near the clinic, stocked it with groceries, and left instructions for fresh meals to be delivered daily. No headlines. No cameras. Just help. When Rachel tried to protest, overwhelmed by the generosity, Ethan simply said, "This isn't charity. It's what I would have wanted someone to do for my mom." But he wasn't done. Over the next week, Ethan did something he hadn't done in years. He walked through the neighborhoods most people drive past. He visited shelters, soup kitchens, and community centers, not as a CEO, but as a listener. And what he heard broke his heart: single parents working 2 jobs and still sleeping in cars, children falling behind in school because of empty stomachs, families 1 bill away from the street. That's when he launched the $5 Foundation, named for the amount Liam had asked for with such quiet courage. The goal was simple: provide rapid response aid to families on the edge. No red tape. No waiting lists. Just food, shelter, and support when it's needed most. At the press conference, when asked what inspired it, Ethan didn't give a long speech. He held up a sticky note with 5 words written in a child's handwriting. "Only $5, please. For Mom." And he said, voice steady but full of emotion. That was all he wanted. Just to feed someone he loved. "I think the world needs more of that." And in that moment, the crowd stood, not for Ethan, but for the boy who had reminded them all how powerful love can be. A year had passed, but Ethan remembered that rainy day as if it were yesterday. On this crisp spring morning, the same coffee shop on West 34th Street had a different energy. A colorful banner stretched across the window. Community Meal Drive, sponsored by the $5 Foundation. Ethan approached slowly, unnoticed in jeans and a hoodie. He smiled as he watched the line of people waiting patiently for food: parents, children, elderly neighbors, all being handed warm meals and kind words by volunteers in blue shirts. Among them stood Liam. Now a little taller, in clean jeans and a bright red t-shirt with the Foundation's logo, he was confidently passing out sandwiches and juice boxes. His face lit up when he saw Ethan. "Hey," he called, waving. "We've got extra today, want a sandwich?" Ethan laughed, warmth blooming in his chest. "I'd love one." Rachel appeared moments later, healthier and full of life. She wrapped Ethan in a grateful hug. "We've been volunteering every Saturday," she said. "Liam insists on it. Says it's our turn now." Ethan looked down at the boy who had once asked for just $5. "You've got a big heart, kid." Liam shrugged. "I just remember what it felt like to be hungry. Nobody should feel that." Ethan swallowed the lump in his throat. As the sun broke through the clouds, laughter and conversation filled the street. It wasn't just a meal, it was a movement. And it all started with one question, asked by a boy who had nothing to give, except his heart. And in that moment, Ethan realized. Sometimes, the smallest voices carry the loudest truths. And the smallest acts of love spark the greatest change.